What's good, everybody? It's your boy, O'Shea Duke Jackson, back at it again with another episode of the Celebrity Junk. Today we're talking about the vice presidential debate. And before we get into that, we will carry ourselves back to the presidential debate, which for those of us who saw it, we could say that it was a fiasco, or possibly one of the worst presidential debates in the history of the United States. So it was moderator Susan Page's job to enforce the ground rules, to make this debate more civil, right? There had to be a certain level of civility. But many people on the left feel that Kamala Harris was stripped of time because there was 16 different times that Vice President Mike Pence interrupted her when she had the floor, okay? And it's true because I've seen that at least in certain clips on the debate that we've watched. He did interrupt, but people were praising her for this whole idea that Mr. Pence didn't respect her because she's a black woman, although she is half South Indian, and that she handled his white privilege with a certain tonality that stood in something that was firm. Okay, she stood her ground in such a harsh climate. Even telling him, Mr. Vice President, I'm speaking, she was very authoritative when he was trying to walk over her, according to people. He was interrupting her, okay? And people on the left are, very interesting. They said, we saw all our black mamas, aunties, and grandmothers and stuff like that, speaking to the white man and all of these things, and he was all in his white privilege, and she showed us how a black woman can do that and be sassy, because people were criticizing her mannerisms for the stereotypical black behavior, angry black woman archetypes and things like that. But she is dealing with Mr. Pence, who is the representation of the all-American white guy, former governor of Indiana, law school graduate, just like she is. And, he's just, Mr. White privilege. He had it easy all his life, right? That's just what they're putting out there. But I think the Democrats forget something. Because they were arguing about raising taxes and tax reform and all this stuff, which is important for the American people. But the thing about it is this. If Kamala Harris realizes that Mike Pence or white people have white privilege, that's the first question I want to know. Does Mike Pence have white privilege? If the answer is yes, that a man like Mike Pence has white privilege, for all the other people out there that say that, if white people have an advantage over blacks by just being white, then did anybody think about who she is actually married to? I mean, we have to make this make sense, because it doesn't. All right, if your position is that Mr. Vice President Mike Pence has white privilege, and that white people have white privilege, why is she married to one? Because isn't she standing in the face of white privilege every day? in her home? Does she have a course on how to deal with this on a daily basis when her and her husband have arguments? You see, when there is a certain narrative to push, all of a sudden Kamala Harris is Mrs. Pro-Black. This is how black women should deal with white male privilege in America while married to the same guy that Mike Pence is, the same race. So what does it say? Are you saying that if you are to deal with white people, that the only way they can have any sort of relationships with you or with black people or with people who are close to being black is that they have to be sorry for being white? Because am I missing this? Everybody is if you accuse Mike Pence of having white male privilege, then that means her husband has white male privilege. Okay. And then if that's the case, then what does he have to do to be with her? In other words, he needs to denounce who he is just because he's an adversary. Is that right? Because for me, if I'm a black person and I realize that these people have an advantage over my own people, then I'm not going to engage them. Not in any sort of relationships that make me look contradictory. And I'm sorry for all the people that are saying that she's in the face of white male privilege because it's Mike Pence and you don't like Mike Pence's positions because he's with Donald Trump. Hey, well, then what about the guy she's married to? And see, what I'm finding out is that a lot of liberals want to make white people feel less than for being white. And so, but at the same time, they want to actually date them and marry them, but they want to be mad at them at the same time. Please realize you have more privilege over me. And then once you do that and denounce yourself, then let me integrate with you. So then I can represent for the black community and solve racism against white privilege while benefiting from that. Because I would think black women who are married, in this case, to a Caucasian man who has something going on. If you have children by this guy, your kids benefit. There are some perks to a sister being married to a white man. You also benefit. Because people just can't come out and disrespect you because, hey, you're married to this guy's wife. There is some form of protection there. So you can't benefit from the same thing that you get and at the same time complain about it. And that's what I'm seeing that people are forgetting here in this whole Kamala Harris situation. Don't make Mike Pence out to be any more privileged than who she's with. And this tends to be a hypocrisy of the left. And many people think that people are stupid and don't understand. This is not an example for anybody. If a person knows that a group of people have an advantage over another group of people, but at the same time you want to integrate with that, then you just want to be a part of that advantage. You don't really care about the other group, because if you did, you would be with that other group, and you would work with your people to pull your group up. And that's why I have a lot of respect for, you can talk about all you want, the pro-black community, the Pan-African community. Because see, in the pro-black community, it makes sense. See, you can't complain about white privilege in the Pan-African pro-black community, and you're with the same people that give you that same privilege in a relationship, because that doesn't make any sense. Kamala Harris also can't make that jump. It only works for people who are foolish and can't make light of the situation that, hey, there's a hypocrisy here. You can't talk about white privilege, and if you have a child or you have a mother-in-law that's white who also benefits off of that, and then you benefit too because you're with them. Hello? Like, anybody home? Maybe not. But you know what? In all actuality, you know, we live in a sort of a stupid world anyway, where, you know, people forget the damnedest things. And they say things that just don't make any sense. But guys, it's your boy, O'Shea Duke Jackson, back at it again with another episode of The Celebrity Junk. Subscribe, hit the bell. I really appreciate you for all that you do. Guys, subscribe, hit the bell. Check me out here on the profile. All right, thank you guys. And subscribe, hit the bell. Check out the Black Men Are Perfect t-shirts. Guys, don't forget that. Don't forget the Manosphere poll. Make sure you vote and do that. And also, I thank you for all the support, guys. Subscribe to the bell. Check out the Black Men Are Perfect t-shirts. All my information is pinned to the top. And as you know, the buffoonery remains at an all-time high. Peace.